Another quote from this chapter is so powerful. You said, "The temptation to abandon the path to which we have been called is often a strong one, but we must nevertheless trust that the Lord of the road knows what he's doing." And I'm thinking, this is in my head, I'm visualizing, are we going to walk with Jesus on the road to Emmaus, or are we going to that wider path? Can you please say something about that?
That's right. Because what is it? Narrow is the path that leads to life, and wide is the path that leads to destruction. And really, Road to Emmaus is one of my favorite stories. Here are these two people who are walking with Jesus, but they don't even recognize him. And he speaks to them, and their hearts burn inside of them. But their eyes are not open till the very end of that story. But look, you remember the great scene in the movie. It's kind of put together from the book, where Sam says to Frodo, right? That's what it's like, in the great stories, the stories that really matter, right? Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be good? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? And yet, he says, in the end, it's a passing thing, this shadow. A new day will dawn, the sun will rise, and when it rises, it will shine the clearer. That's what it was like in those stories. Those are the stories that you remembered, that stayed with you, even if you were too little to understand why. And then you remember what he says, Nicola. He says, "And now I think I understand. Folks in those stories had plenty of chances to go back, only they didn't. They kept on going because they were holding on to something." Now, this line is not actually in the novel, but I think it's faithful to the novel, that there's some good in this world and it's worth fighting for. We need to continue. Again, we don't always see the end. Sometimes it's unclear. Sometimes it's blurry. Sometimes the end will be for our children and grandchildren and great grandchildren. As all immigrants know, immigrants now, the new ones are coming from Latin America. They've come from all over the world. And they're coming not just for themselves, but for the opportunities for their children and grandchildren, all of that, right? My grandparents, none of them basically finished high school. And then I get to go on and get a PhD, right? I mean, it's the way things are. And in the Christian life, we're also building communities, building churches that are multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. But if some of those people in the beginning, Nicola, turned away from the road, refused to finish the journey that they were given, who knows what would have happened, right? Who knows? Maybe there are nations now that are without the gospel because of someone 2 generations ago that turned aside from the path. So we need to press it. What is it? He who holds on to the end will be saved. What is that? What is that powerful line in the New Testament? He who perseveres till the end. And sometimes we have to persevere because there are so many distractions and temptations that would turn us aside, despair, everything else. Just read Pilgrim's Progress and see all of the temptations that would turn Christian away from his journey to the celestial city.